Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Jack. I'm one of the co-founders of Guardhouse. We actually have Jules with us today as well, which is very exciting. Fresh off the plane from spending a bit of time with our team in the Philippines. Today, we're just going to run through a newly upgraded feature called our welfare checks process. So we'll just run through a quick bit of an agenda on what we're going to cover off. We'll do a demo as well. And we'll also be able to handle questions and stuff that you guys may have at the end. So what we're going to run through today, we'll just show you a basic overview of this feature. We'll show you how to set it up. We'll show you how the users can interact with it and how the guards can respond to welfare checks out in the field. There's also reporting based from the welfare check process as well that we'll give you and highlight when the welfare checks were done, which we'll also show you. So the feature kind of at a high level, so we can set this feature up at a company level and also a site level. So if you have sites that need welfare checks, you can have that on. Sites that don't, you don't have to have it on either. The great thing about it, which Jules will take you through, is you can actually set the welfare checkups between certain times and certain days. So we can manage that at a site level. Obviously, there's a notification that goes to the guards via text message and push notification. If the guards don't respond to those welfare checks, then there's an escalation process that happens from there. Some of the key benefits of this feature, obviously it's very easy to set up. It's integrated into Guardhouse already. So again, you're not using another system to manage a welfare check process. It's all done within Guardhouse. It will improve your process in terms of that it's a consistent check. It happens at a minimum on the hour. And there's also compliance and reporting from it as well. So you can ensure that the checks are being done. You can report back onto your customers, showing you, when the checks were done, how they responded. So there's quite a bit of detail there as well. We'll take you through some of the screenshots as well, but I just wanted to touch on a future enhancement that we are doing to this feature. We're currently about 50% of the way through this project. So we're building a widget. So on the dashboard, which will highlight the welfare checks that are in process and any welfare checks that are missed. So it'll make it a bit more clearer rather than being in our existing live ops. We'll still keep it in there, but there'll also be a separate widget that you can review as well. Cool, so we'll just jump to the demo now, and I'll hand over to Jules.
Should we switch?
Let's switch.
All right, hello guys. I'm Julian, I'm one of the founders of the business. Some of you guys may know me, but for the last kind of 10 months or so, I've been running our UK office. Got off the plane this morning, so I'm a bit jet lagged, so this may be wrong. No, it'll be fine. But thanks for joining us today. So, I suppose the key thing that we're trying to solve here is being able to proactively address checking in with your lone workers. And this feature does a really good job of that. So to begin the setup on this, we're going to go to organization and to company. And then we're just going to go to our notifications section within the company tab. If you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see there's a section here, welfare check. We're just going to turn that on. Now, there's an array of settings here. To begin with, it's all focusing on the frequency of sending, the frequency of the welfare checks once they're initially enabled. So just to give you an idea about the structure, so you can determine to set your welfare checks to run on the hour, every second hour, every third hour, whatever might be relevant to you. But what we're setting up here initially is the follow-ups from the initial check. So if we walk through this here, we've got welfare check, first follow-up, second follow-up, and third follow-up. So in the process of that, so let's just say a shift starts at 1800 hours, and then you've set it to start at 1900 hours to check in with the guard. So they would receive a first welfare check, a welfare check rather, then we'll follow them up 3 times. So first follow-up, second follow-up, third follow-up. On the third follow-up, that will also send escalation notifications to management to say that this person is yet to check in or respond to the welfare check. To set this up, so all those welfare check processes are there. You can determine how you want to send that out. So some people don't like using SMS, not a problem. Just turn SMS off, just toggle them off, really easy. My recommendation is though, always keep it on for the third follow-up, because that might just be give the guard the kick they need, the final kick to actually respond. So you don't need to manually then intervene beyond that. We've also got push notifications. So you can just turn on or off whatever set of notifications you would like to be sent out to the guards here. We then have our follow-up in minutes. So what this means is once the initial welfare check is sent out, so let's just say that 1800 shifts that were started at 1900, the welfare check goes out. The follow-up in minutes is how many minutes after the welfare check was sent that we start sending the follow-ups. So in this scenario, and these are the defaults in the system, 3 minutes after the welfare check, the first follow-up will go out. 5 minutes after the initial welfare check, the second follow-up goes out. And then on the third follow-up, 8 minutes after. And these are customizable. You can change these to be whatever you want. Totally customizable to you. Now, once you're happy with the setup that you've configured here, you just click save and that's all locked in. The next step you can do here is you can set up run welfare check between times. So you may only have lone workers between, let's just say midnight and 0400. So you might want to turn this on, and you can set the system actually to only run between a certain set of times here. Let's type in 0400 and then, oops. So you might only want to run welfare checks between certain times. So you can set it up here. You can have a whole array of configurations. So you can have a weekday welfare check set times. You can have a weekend set times, up to you on how you want to do that. You can also configure that further at a site level. So essentially in the initial setup, what we've done here, we obviously turn the feature on. We've determined how the notification process will work and how that's going to be sent out and the frequency of that from the welfare check. And then we've set up when we want to run the welfare checks between. So how do we configure that at a site level and determine when this stuff will run? So I'm going to go to organization and then to sites. So if we're adding in a new site, let's just call this new site. I can't type on Jack's keyboard. Classic. So you just pick the customer that's going to be a part of. And then from this point, down at the bottom, you'll see welfare check interval, and that's in hours. So if we want to run welfare checks every hour, we just put a value of 1 in there. If you want to run welfare checks every 2 hours, so let's just say the shift starts at 1800 and the shift ends at 0600, and you want to do it every 2 hours, you would just do every 2 hours. So then there would be 4 checks throughout the night rather than 7 through the shift. You can also then configure further the welfare checks between times. So you can go, actually, yes, I want this to run all day through this site, or actually I only want the welfare checks to run between certain days and times. So you can configure this further down at a site level, just like you would have at a company level. So you can you've got a macro level of detail. Jack knows these smart words. You've got a level of granularity that you can go down to configure these to a site basis, which will give you a lot of control around this. Once you've set up this exactly as you need, you just click save, and that will configure everything. And that site will then run on those frequencies that you've set up.
Yeah, I think there's a couple other things to note on that just quickly. The guards have to be clocked in for the system to actually trigger off the welfare check process. So if the guard's not clocked in, it won't actually do that welfare check process. And we did have a question come through around, is there a cost in SMS? Yeah, there will be the 9 cents per SMS if you are using that welfare check. You are having SMS on there. But obviously, if the guard responds to the first 3 notifications, it won't go to that SMS process and you then won't be charged. So that's kind of how that process works. So we'll just jump back to a presentation quickly. Let's just share this again. Cool. Okay.
Oh yeah. So with the computers. Cool. So with the welfare checks, how guards receive them, they receive them via SMS and push notification. So once you've configured everything, the staff member will just clock into their shift as normal. From that point, the system will then will then draw down the settings that are configured for that site and for the company, and then send the welfare checks at the frequency that you've selected. So as you can see here, this is a welfare check, please respond. And then, so if the staff member receives the push notification, they can just click on the push notification. And as you can see on the right side of the page here, it will just take them to the welfare check response page within their Guardhouse app. They click I'm okay, and then they're good to go. That's acknowledging that welfare check. Now, if you are using SMS as well, and the guard receives the SMS for the welfare check, they just need to respond with the number 1. Those instructions are in the text body of the SMS. So it'll just say respond 1 to acknowledge this welfare check. And if they do that, that'll push it back into the system and acknowledge that welfare check. Cool. So with the escalation process, once it reaches the 3rd notification, management, if the staff member hasn't responded, management will receive an escalation notification. This will also affect the dashboard, which we'll show you in a second. So you'll get notifications saying that the staff member has not acknowledged their welfare check. This needs to be escalated. So this now removes it from the proactive approach that the feature is designed for. So we're trying to address checking in on your staff without manual intervention as much as possible. But should a staff member not respond, we're now telling you, now you need to get in contact. Maybe there's something wrong, something you need to address. You know, they might have just been ignoring it or leaving it in the car or things like that. But then you can chase the guard up. For the most part, this will address the majority of those. So once it's been escalated, you guys will receive it. The guard also gets a notification saying the welfare check has been escalated. Please respond as soon as possible. So there's some urgency put into the messaging for the guard to try and chase them up a little bit as well. Cool. So on the dashboard in the live operation screen, once a welfare check is in progress for a guard, the status where they would normally just be clocked in on site, that will change the wording there in that green bar to checking welfare. So that's when the first notification goes out at the frequency that's been set. Once it moves into the 2nd notification, also the first follow-up, it will then change that to orange. So we can see that this person has missed the first welfare check, and now we're starting to send out the follow-up process. Once they've got to the escalation point, this will then trigger that they have missed their welfare check, and it will come up red. So as soon as management are starting to receive the notifications that the staff member has missed their welfare check, the escalation process, this is also happening on the dashboard to show. So if you've got a control room or you want to check it on your live ops on your mobile, you can see this status coming up on live operations, which draws your attention to it and says, yes, this is something we need to look at soon or quite quickly.
Great. Thank you, Jules.
No problems.
Just might need to stop sharing for a second. We had a question around, does the location for GPS know when they're on site? We are capturing that in the background. It is a further enhancement that we will display on the report. So, yeah. That'll be something that we'll enhance and put on this report, which I'm about to show you. So, juggling act's going okay. So this is the welfare check status report. It's obviously just in the report section. It's in the timesheet reports. So you'll have obviously the name of the staff member, the shift date, the shift times, the time that they actually clocked in and out there as well, customer, site. And then what happens here as well is you can see you've got when the welfare check was done, and if it was done, and you can see here when they've actually acknowledged it here. So that solid green dark color is when they've actually responded. So
which process they responded from.
Which process they responded from.
So it's in that scenario there, we're showing that they've acknowledged via the push notification specifically.
Yep.
In that scenario, yep.
So that's kind of what the report looks like. Again, you can refine it by customer and all that sort of good stuff over a particular day range. And again, you'll have the whole list of all the checks that were done and missed and so forth.
There's a highly detailed report, and we've seen with customers that have rolled it out and embraced it quickly, is that they get a lot of value from addressing that report with their staff. So they'll take it in scope. We're seeing that it's going to a 3rd follow-up every single time. And so it's really good to display to them. It helps change behavior. So they're acknowledging the checks sooner, which gives you a bit more peace of mind that actually everything's all good on site. It's also a good audit tool to give to your to clients. So people like showing it to their clients, saying, here's all the proactive checking we're doing to ensure that the welfare of our staff is all good, or they're all sweet on site.
Cool. Was there, that's kind of it at a high level. Was there any other questions on anything that anyone had? As you can see, it's a pretty simple setup process. There's no real tricks to it. Okay. Oh no, here we go. When will this be available? It's live now. We can, I've got everyone's email, so it can, following this video, we'll send out the recording to everyone so you can review it. In the Guardhouse University, there's also all the training material on how to set it up already. And also there is your customer success manager as well. So that you can reach out to that can help, but it's live now and ready to go. Another good question: can you send welfare checks randomly during a shift? No, you can't.
Not currently. So the feature is designed around a proactive schedule, so that there's, that you're set and forget, essentially, that the notifications are going out. They're going out at specific times. It's a really good bit of feedback. Yeah, we could look at introducing the ability to just at any point just trigger a check for your staff. That's a cool bit of feedback. We'll take a look at that for sure.
Okay, well, there's nothing else from our side. There's not any other questions. Thanks for joining. We're wishing everyone obviously a good Christmas and a happy New Year period. Our support team will obviously be online during that period, same hours. So they're there through web chat, email, phone support, obviously free of charge. So if you need help during that period, we'll be online to be able to help you. But obviously, yeah, wishing you guys a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll look forward to connecting again next year.
Thanks, guys.